What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. Storytelling in games can sometimes be my favorite part of the experience. It can transform something like a typical shooter into a grand adventure by the plot that's woven into it. For example, look at BioShock. This built a world so perfect I had it tattooed on my body. That's how much it meant to me. But when you get the good, you also get the bad. There's times where a journey starts out epic only to turn into a total dumpster fire. So this week, we're looking at that. These are my picks for the top 10 most hated game endings. Number 10. Alan Wake. During the highest point of the Xbox 360's fame, Microsoft started reaching out to studios to make all sorts of crazy games of every possible genre and even helped fund some of them. That led to the origin of Alan Wake, a survival horror shooter about a writer trapped in a town taken over by the darkest demons of his own books. It was a seriously fantastic title, but for a game about a character who tells great stories, they sure didn't know how to conclude theirs. Right when you would expect the final boss fight to begin or something, you just get a short cutscene that shows Alan sitting in an empty house talking to himself. We essentially get forced into buying the DLC to actually figure out how this tale ends. Number 9. Killzone 3. If you read enough history, you soon learn that in some battles there isn't a winner, it's just a matter of who lost less. That is certainly true in the universe of Killzone. Mankind has been locked in a struggle for power against the Helgen for decades, and during the events of this game it looks like things might come at last to a close. Unfortunately, for some stupid reason, the way they settled this ancient war is having the heroes rain nuclear missiles down on the enemy planet in a desperate act to stop them from attacking Earth. This does wipe out their military, but also billions of cities are just instantly vaporized. It's hard to celebrate your victory when you know that you're basically responsible for a genocide. Number 8. Chrono Trigger DS. I'm putting this one early in the video because Chrono Trigger technically has tons of endings, but there's one that they added just for the Nintendo DS version that is absolutely hated by many fans. This time travel RPG gets really heavy into the meaning of fate, about figuring out your destiny in a world where the apocalypse has already happened. Crushing Lavos, the consumer of life, is the goal, and by beating the game, normally we see his epic death. However, in this bonus ending, they randomly added in an optional new upgraded Lavos for no reason, and he's literally unkillable. If your party's good enough to reduce his health to 0, which, might I add, is extremely hard, you get hit with a special and sent back to where you came from. It felt so dumb to shove in a monster we already won against and suddenly act like we're too weak to challenge him at all. Why would you do this? Number 7. Crackdown. There's something that's still really cool about an unexpected twist. It takes so much to surprise gamers now because we've all played so much and seen so many crazy events. What does annoy me badly though is a lazy twist that appears to have just been thought up in the final minute. Crackdown puts us in control of a super cop unleashed in a town with a horrible crime wave going on. The bad guys here are so dangerous, some of them are freaking driving tanks through the streets. Alright, now that I've kind of explained what's going on here, are you ready for the silly, pointless ending? It turns out that the gangsters got their military weapons from the police in the first place because the department just wanted more funding. This is one of those rushed conclusions I despise, since it just feels like they wanted to wrap up all the loose threads of plot in 60 seconds without actually going to the trouble of making it interesting. Number 6. Mass Effect 3. Oh man, talking about this final cutscene always gets me in rage mode. In the Mass Effect universe, there's a species of robot creature that are older than any other race in existence. They slumber far out in space, only to reawaken every 100,000 years to wipe out all life, and then they go back into sleep mode until it's time to kill again. The fight to stop them is an epic adventure, and one I personally think is some of the best role-playing game writing ever. Well, that is until you reach the key moment where you have to choose what happens to them. Shepard activates what's supposed to be an ancient secret device to destroy them, but then this dumb space kid shows up. He tells you that there are really only 3 options. Control the Reapers, blow them up, or merge with them. Essentially, this just changes the color of the final movie. It's like playing a game series for 200 hours and at the end you're just choosing a flavor of ice cream. Number 5. 13. There's something so uniquely annoying about a cliffhanger to a great story. In the artistic, comic book style world of 13, we are a lone agent on a mission to discover who truly assassinated the president. This is not an easy task, and you're gonna have to break a lot of necks along the way to find some answers. Here's the major issue at the core of this great plot though. When you at last learn the monster you seek is actually your friend who's been helping you throughout the entire game, it just ends. We're hit with the bombshell that Walter Sheridan, our closest friend, was the mastermind behind all of this. This catastrophe is entirely his fault, but we don't get any sort of closure. There's no fight, there's no actual real ending, it's just that reveal and then credits. I will always hate this ending due to the fact that it's just so unsatisfying. We need an extra level to hunt him down or actually get to shoot him, that way we get our epic revenge, and now we'll just never get it. Number 4. Metal Gear Solid 2. Now wait a minute, before you tear me apart in the comments, I'm not saying this ending is sloppy, I'm just going into detail about how when it was originally released, fans were extremely confused as to what the heck it meant. In case you haven't been able to conquer Metal Gear Solid 2, the trippy last battle happens on a giant American monument in New York. This octopus arm having dude is solid as Snake, and when he isn't wearing the silly combat outfit, he's actually the leader of the United States. He challenges our hero to a duel to the death with swords, and we have no way to escape. Getting away requires that we prove to our father that we're better with the blade than he is. Oh yeah, I should also mention that this guy is our dad, and he's also a clone, but that's a little bit weird. Okay, so what's really important is the fact that for some reason there's ghost computers talking to you during this fight and telling you that they're making the world a better place. All of this together is just insane to a random gamer. It's overwhelming. If you play the whole series, it's great, but alone, this was way too far. Number 3. Borderlands. I'm sure some of you were expecting this entry in the list. Anyone who's beaten Borderlands says the same thing. It's an awesome game, but why did they bother with such a dumb ending? On the planet of Pandora, there's a legend about a secret area called the Vault. Making it inside this vault will supposedly give you eternal life, billions of dollars, or at least some shiny super guns. Either way, finding it is going to be fun, so people come to this planet all the time just to search for it with their strongest buddies by their side. I bet this sounds great, right? Well, the problem arises when you reach this fairy tale destination and uncover that it's just a huge beast and nothing else. For some reason, the vault is really just a portal that opens up to a magical prison built to hold this demon within it. The player is being basically tricked into opening it to slay this monster. That alone kind of sucks, but what makes it even worse is that we don't even get a decent reward for doing it. Beating this mega powerful world-eating monster gives you crappy guns and a rather unfinished feeling for your hard work. Number 2. Fallout 3. The long-standing motto of this series has always been, war never changes. It's a simple phrase that really kind of spells out that as long as there's two people alive, oftentimes one will secretly hate the other. Throughout the course of our journey across the wasteland, we seek our own form of peace, but in a world filled with mutants and laser rifles, that's really not possible. Fallout is really the sort of game where we make our own story with the actions we take, and yet, if you want, there is really an ending to the story if you want it. Our character stumbles on a horrible plot by the baddies to carry out a gruesome attack to end their conflict with the citizens of the main town forever. They want to poison the water purification plant, which could murder everybody in the entire state, and it seems the only way to stop it is to sacrifice yourself. It's only us who knows the code to turn off the reactor, but going in there will make it where you suffocate because of the poison. Your options are go in yourself and die, sending your friend with the code so she dies, or refuse to put in the code and the town dies. After all the deep, tough choices we have to make throughout the adventure, this one just seems so flat and basic. It's such a huge letdown in an otherwise perfect experience. Number 1. Halo 2. Just for fun, let's take a little trip into the past. In the early 2000s, I was obsessed with Halo. My friends and I were constantly going to Halo tournaments. I spent time on the message boards talking about the Forerunner, and I even read all the Halo books. Obviously, I was counting the seconds until Halo 2's launch. In fact, I actually just remembered that I even programmed my desktop to be a giant countdown timer to the day it came out. Well, when we finally got it, it was both amazing and also very rough. While the multiplayer was highly refined, the single player felt strangely hollow. Instead of playing as Master Chief, we kept getting thrown into the shoes of the Arbiter, a Covenant soldier on a special mission of his own. If we were mostly playing as Chief, I'd be more okay with this, but the problem is, at the core of it all, we end up playing the ending as Arbiter. Yes, that's right, we didn't even get to actually kill the last boss and enjoy a giant climactic conclusion with our hero. Instead, it was this other guy, this dude with his own new little story. Instead of giving us more deep lore and another giant cool look inside this interesting universe, it felt like, well, a little scrap. This extra piece of the world, almost like playing DLC but as the main game. It was almost heartbreaking to have the last we ever see of this hero for years as a little glimpse of him drifting off into space in that legendary armor. And it's for that reason that I am awarded this my pick as the top most hated ending in gaming. Did your favorite catastrophic conclusion not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. You know, this is the last top 10 I'm ever going to film in this office because of the move. It's kind of strange. I think I've made 100 top 10s sitting right here. It kind of feels like saying goodbye to an old friend. It's been a coworker almost. But now, it's time to move on to bigger and better things. So, thanks for supporting me, and let's see what the next chapter has in store. Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.